In this video, I thought I'd give you guys a look at my Colt SCAR-L Type B prototype submission clone that I'm trying to make. As I posted a day or two ago, I was supposed to drop these parts off at a local gunsmith today and get the exterior finish done. After talking to the gunsmith, he was not willing to color all the parts that I needed done. It's his business and I respect that. One of the things that he said he wasn't willing to do was he wasn't willing to color the castle nut. He wasn't willing to finish the receiver pins. And there's one or two other things. And that doesn't work for what I'm trying to accomplish here, because I'm trying to replicate the prototype as it appears in this excellent image from Chris Bartacci's article on Colt's SCAR-L submissions. And as you can see here, you know, the castle nut's colored, receiver pins are colored. He wasn't willing to do the charging handle, and you can see here the charging handle's colored. So having him do my parts, if I had him do everything else, would have left a very inaccurate appearance. So let's look at the parts that I'm using, and I'll discuss each of them briefly. For the lower receiver I'm using is just a standard 6920 lower receiver, and I bought this one a while back. As many of you know now, Colt has stopped removing selector stops, but I don't want to use the newer 6920 lowers because they have the QR codes on them. So I'm going to go ahead and move forward with using this. One of the inaccuracies of the lower receivers is the selector positions. The SCAR program dictated that the submitted firearms had no more than a 90-degree rotation for all selector functions. And so to accomplish that, Colt's layout of the selector positions is here on the back, toward the back of the lower receiver. And it was safe, semi, and auto right there in that small arc. So that obviously is quite a bit different than the traditional layout. But that's one of those things you've just got to deal with. I'm not a fan of the 80% receiver market, so I stay away from that. The next thing I'll get that out of the way. The next thing we'll look at is the cover of the manual and the component list inside the manual for the Type B. Has the arms forward grip, so I've got that. Need to get it refinished. Here we've got the arms. Arms, by the way, is Atlantic Research Marketing Systems. You'll see here in Chris's image, the rail sections were not colored. They were left in their factory finish, so I'm doing that. The Arms 40L folding rear sight was also in its factory finish. So one detail too about these parts and the time this program existed, the arms emblem that you see a lot of times today is a swan with the wing sticking up. The early parts were made with what's called a wingless swan. It's got the swan image, but there's no wing that sticks up. So those early parts you'll hear referred to as wingless parts. And my part markings are all the wingless swan. Upper receiver, just a standard 6920 upper receiver. The gas block and folding front sight and the gas tube is from Colt 6940 series. The folding sight is on the Type B, was essentially what ended up being used on the 6940. Now, having said that, my front sight is not accurate for the time period because it's got this locking lever on the front of it. The initial production front sight did not have that locking lever. When you raise the sight up, it was held in place by an internal detent, and it just took thumb pressure or whatever to fold that sight back down. Well, that ended up being identified as a weak point by some of the user testing and feedback. So Colt put this locking lever on there, and you just pull that up to fold the sight back. These folding front sights are unicorns out on the part market. There were not many of the non-locking front sights that made it out onto the retail market, so finding those are even harder than these. So that's one of the compromises I had to make as well. The program specified the Knight's Armament NT4 suppressor. Consequently, the Knight's Armament NT4 flash hider was used. This barrel is 14.5 inches, and then I had the flash hider pinned and welded, and that got me just over 16 inches for the legal barrel length. If you look on the image, the prototype, the flash hider understandably was not colored. The barrel is a full-length heavy barrel profile. Colt did not use the what we know as a SOCOM heavy barrel profile because the M203 grenade launcher was not part of the SCAR competition. Colt used the Dymaco enhanced grenade launcher that mounts directly to the rail system. What many of us know the design currently is like the H&K M320. It was very similar to that, but it did not require the M203 cuts in the barrel. So Colt used a full-length heavy barrel profile like this. This barrel's typically made for the export market. I bought it from Specialized Armament, and you'll see the markings there. CMP 556 NATO 1 and 7 H bar. So I was pretty happy to find that barrel when I did. It wasn't cheap, so we'll get that out of the way. The arms rail. This is a unicorn part. My research has turned up that there's about 7 released by Arms onto the retail market. I have one, a friend of mine has one, and I've seen one sell on eBay. I was lucky and got this one because a member of my Instagram page reached out to me and offered to sell it to me, and I'm grateful for that every day. I probably still wouldn't have one if it wasn't for him. So you know who you are. Thank you. I appreciate that. There are rails out there that look similar to this. This is the Armed Sir 58 Mod Bi-Level SM. And what makes it different from ones that look similar is it's got the extension on the front that runs parallel to the gas block. And then you've got the bottom piece that goes on there. Anyway, this it's hard to do that and video at the same time, but you have these parts here that line up with these gaps for your rail to go on. Anyway, when it comes time to putting this back on, I'll show you guys how it all goes together. To mount this on the firearm, you have this half circle here that rests against the barrel nut, and then the rail locks into the 1913 rail on top of the receiver, and these screws hold it to that half circle mount piece there. I had to buy this extension so that the rail system was correct, because you look on the prototype and it's got a flat rail interface all the way to the end of the rail. So when I got this, it did not have that extension on it. I was able to find that and add it. So anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed this quick look at the parts I'm using. If you have any questions or comments, just post and let me know. Interestingly, the program specifies Federal Standard Color 30118, which that color is basically what the Cerakote manufacturer calls field drab. I'm learning that Cerakote's pretty restrictive on some tight tolerances. Colt used a product called CalGuard Gun Coat for their submission. So anyway, I'm back to the drawing board, back to looking for another source to get these parts finished and to get this project across the finish line. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate your time. I'll talk to you later.